glad you tuned in because you don't want to miss what's coming up next. All right. All right. By the way, that is one of my newer songs. Be sure to check it out. I am available on all streaming platforms. Please spread the word. I'm trying to get my name out there musically so I can keep driving Trans Ales. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about the ethics of spiritual domination, love spells, and curses. So, a lot to unpack here, honestly. So, some of this is going to be related to magic, some of this is going to be related to love spells, curses. My brother actually was talking to Bianca, who I will introduce here in a minute, and actually said that he doesn't believe in curses. So, interesting. Some people do, some people don't. I personally believe that if I deflect that shit, then, I don't have to worry about it as far as spiritual curses go. But that's just my opinion. So, tonight, the ethics of spiritual domination, love spells, and curses. Also, we're going to be talking about it from kind of a culty influence. Spiritual domination, that's something that definitely happens in religion and cults. As you guys know, ever since leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses, I am very skeptical of any kind of spiritual domination. So, with that being said, this is my lovely guest, Bianca. She is.
Sup, buddies?
Yeah. She is a professional tarot reader. You might actually have to hold that.
Oh, no, okay.
Here, try it now.
Hey, squad.
Yeah. She's got a very soft, sweet voice, so I said probably need the microphone. Okay, so, and also, wanted to mention she is a professional tarot reader. She reads at a lot of the venues down here in Tampa. One of the main spots you can check her out at is Psychic Sundays at the Spook Easy in Ybor City here in Tampa. So she does a great reading. So definitely be sure to check her out. What is it, 12 to 5 Sundays?
11 to 5 on Sundays, every first through third Sunday. Last Sunday of the month, not there.
Yeah. So, I want to apologize. I mean, kind of apologize for not having the show on Wednesday. So, my daughter graduated, and we were in North Carolina. I know, right? It's awesome. It's trippy. I'm having a hard time letting her go. I don't know. I mean, you parents out there know what it's like. They're your baby girl, and it's kind of hard to watch them grow up and then they start doing their own thing. So that can be really weird. Hold on, I'm going to turn the speaker off so it doesn't bounce the camera right off the speaker. All right, how's that? Wait a minute. Let me turn this up real quick. Okay. And okay. Hopefully you guys can hear that. So yeah, she graduated, and I don't even know how I feel about that. It's up in North Carolina, and we got back late Wednesday, so it would have been too late to do the show, so here we are. But anyways, let's get into this. So, the ethics of spiritual domination, love spells, and curses. So, I'm not sure how many people are tuned in yet. Feel free to comment. This is a live feed. If you have any questions, anything you want to know, anything you want to say, feel free to speak up. But other than that, let's get into it. So, spiritual domination. What made you want to talk about this article? What gave you the idea to bring this up?
I pulled cards on it, and it came up.
She does very good card pulls. Really cool insight.
Yeah, so to clarify, I did like a basic 3-card spread, and the first card that came out was like the Emperor reversed. And that made me think of, toppling conventions and societal norms and things like that. And given your background and being a survivor of, being part of a cult, basically, I was like, oh, well, like talking about spiritual domination from your perspective, as well as from a like magical spell casting perspective, because there are like domination spells. It is a thing that exists. Would be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I dealt with a lot of spiritual domination growing up. So, as many of you guys know, I was in the Jehovah's Witness religion and didn't realize how much I hated it till I got out of it. I mean, they just control every single thing that you do. A lot of it's even thought control. So you are taught how to think. You kind of have this idea that, God is watching and condemning about everything that you do. And it's a really bad feeling. So when I got out of that, I said that I would never be under that kind of control again. And I won't. I don't care what it is. I mean, nobody's going to control my mind. Nobody's going to live rent-free in my mind and occupy my mind the way that the witnesses did, the way that the governing body did, and all that good stuff. So, yeah. All right, so I'm curious about the second aspect. Okay, so spiritual domination. What about the love spells and curses? Like, what does that mean to you?
Okay, so as someone who's into witchy woo woo shit, wait, can I swear?
Yeah, oh
Okay, yeah, because this is probably not going to be monetized. I mean, actually, no. No, I rebuke that energy.
yeah.
You're going to get your coin.
Okay.
You're going to get your coin. But yeah, so within the, like, magical practitioner universe, there's a lot of discourse about, like, free will, particularly for those who may have come of age spiritually during, like, the height of, like, Wicca, right? So with Wicca, there's like discourse about the whole threefold law, about anything that you do coming back times three. I mean, you've seen The Craft, right? If you haven't, you should. We just rewatched it the other night. It's timeless.
Great movie.
It's great.
Excellent movie.
Solid movie. But yeah, a lot of people, whether they're Wiccan or not, they do kind of hold to this belief that you shouldn't do, mostly that you shouldn't do any sort of baneful work or negative working like curses, or that you shouldn't infringe on people's free will like love spells, kind of like in the way that Sarah did with Chris. Because I've, even before seeing the movie, I would hear stories in forums of similar encounters of people being obsessed. There was this spellcrafter, like she does spell work for money, and like she posted videos about how she had made her man go crazy. Like he would like pull up on her and was like trying to like banging on her car door, and she was proud of the fact that she made him crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of discourse about like the ethics of love work as a result of that.
All right, so I had a friend who did a love spell. Okay, now you guys take this how you want, all right? We're not saying you gotta believe it or anything. But I do kind of wonder because it seemed legit, okay? So, my friend who is very witchy, she did a love spell. And I think she just did it to see, if it would work. I think she was kind of curious and she was experimenting, and she did a full-blown love spell to see if the thing would work. And she said, I couldn't get his attention. And then after that, she said he was like blowing my phone up. I mean, like begging me to go out with him. And she said, I liked it at first. She said, then it got a little creepy. So thankfully nothing bad happened. So that's a good thing. Nothing bad happened. But she said basically like, I hated him after that because he was like all over me. It wouldn't leave me alone. I don't ever know what happened to that. I just know, I was like, anything bad happened? She's like, no, I just like blocked his damn number and left him alone. So, yeah. But But you know, I mean, wouldn't it be cool to do love spells? I mean, it does seem like it'd be kind of cool. I mean, you got people, you know, you cast a spell on somebody, all of a sudden you're getting all the clout, right? You got people like blowing your phone up, hey, I love you, you're so awesome. I mean, that's got to be a good feeling.
I mean, it definitely depends, and like speaking to the ethics of it. So, despite the crazy horror stories that are often associated with people doing love spells like that, and like people becoming obsessive, I am pro love spell, and here's why.
Yes. I am.
Oh, all right. Well, okay.
Cheers.
Period. Okay. So historically, right, most people who would be doing love spells, like you mostly hear stories, both like fiction and historically, about women doing love spells, right? And usually it's to secure a husband or specifically to keep their husband from straying. Because, like, centuries ago, usually men were the breadwinners. They were the ones, you know, traveling and experiencing the world, and people are trying to experience them if they're hot shit. So
Yeah.
there are so many different love workings, not just in order to like get someone to fall in love with you, but also specifically to keep someone in love with you, or even to like keep their wand from working with other people. There's whole different like categories and subcategories of love spells. But love and sex, but like especially I feel like it all falls under the same umbrella. But I am pro love work for the historical aspect of largely women using it in order to keep and maintain agency, because otherwise they didn't have rights. They were just trying to hold on to what they could so they wouldn't be like out in the streets, losing, like being unable to take care of the kids and so on and so forth. So I, for one, am pro love spell, and I'm also pro curse. I always joke I'm pro hex, pro ho. I don't offer those services, but I will gladly refer you to those that do. I'm pro curse. If it is what's the word? If it's justified. So like normally people who do spell work, they usually divine on it beforehand, to see whether or not it is their place to do the work, or if like, the person's comeuppance will like come some other way, if it'll be successful, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so the curse aspect of it, it is interesting. And, a lot of people that know me, if you know me back from my Watchtower days, I kind of am a justice guy. Like, I hate to see corruption. I hate to see things go unchecked. I feel like in society, there's a lot of things that go unchecked. I think that everybody can agree that, whatever way you lean, whatever you believe, there are things that are going unchecked that are kind of messed up. Or you have bad, corrupt people that know what they're doing, deliberately hurting people. And I think that's a bad thing, especially if those people that they're hurting are innocent and don't deserve to be hurt. So, I mean, I could see, and we're not telling you to do anything, we're not giving advice.
I'm telling you to just divine on it, make sure it's justified, and hex the shit out of people.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay, well, I can neither confirm nor deny that. But I can definitely see where it may have a place.
I'm speaking for myself.
Definitely see where it might have a place. So, ooh, yeah. I don't have. Okay, yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, even speaking to the whole like subcategory, just like how there's subcategories of love work, there's also subcategories of like curses and even justice work. So there are things in relation to getting back what's yours, stopping gossip, like tying someone's tongue metaphorically or even literally if you're like that powerful. And then there's like law stay away, like oils and like conjure and stuff like that that like keep the cops from you if you're engaging in frowned upon activities that we would not encourage. But there's spells for that.
Spells for that, huh?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, doesn't look like there are too many people on yet.
Yeah, I think just because the day's off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Thursday thing's throwing everybody off. I was gonna say at this point I would be reading comments and questions. I actually don't have a lot more to say on this subject, like I said. I could definitely relate to domination, spiritual domination. Like I said, control, that shit is awful. I will say this too, like, don't let yourselves be, swept away by any person. I think everybody should value or weigh things for themselves and ask themselves how legitimate something is to them. And I think that also on top of that, they should be studied with as many facts and data, and basically as much reality as possible. Because you can definitely have, something that you believe in and would be even willing to die for. It's scary, you've got a lot of these religions and a lot of these, cults and stuff like that. You look at Jonestown, these people were willing to die for this shit. And that's kind of scary. Some of these people were even so convinced that I'm willing to bet that there wasn't even one doubt in their mind that what they're thinking might be flawed, inaccurate, any of that. They were fully convinced, fully deceived, and they went along with it. And I think that that's so dangerous to do. And I can relate to that. Like I said, as somebody who was in a cult, who was a hardcore Jehovah's Witness. Anybody that you ask will tell you that, I was one of those brothers that was kind of encouraging it. I would encourage people. I was very Pharisaic. I was encouraging people to be loyal and believe in Jehovah, believe in the Bible and all this stuff. I was convinced I would have died for it. And then come to find out, it's just a cult. It's not real. It's just a bunch of fantasy. It's a bunch of fiction. Fiction from authoritative figures. And a lot of times, if people have to back something from authority, that's probably the point where you need to question the legitimacy of it. And for any of you that are just now tuning in, we are talking about the ethics of spiritual domination, love spells, and curses. You guys are more than welcome to chime in and ask questions and even debate, as long as we can do that without, cussing each other out. You know what I mean? Like breaking out, fighting in the audience.
You mean cursing each other out?
Cursing each other out. What did I say? Cussing each other out?
Yeah, cursing.
Cussing each other out, cursing each other.
We're talking about cursing.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one. That was actually really good. It's clever. It's clever.
The clever witch. Ooh. Oh gosh. Yeah, so we've got 2 people on right now?
We've got 2 people.
Drop comments. What tea are you drinking? Do you like tea?
No.
Yes. Tea party in the comments.
No more tea. I solemnly swear on this day, I will never drink tea again.
Boo. Not if I have some spells to say about it.
See, this is what I'm talking about. And here lies the question tonight. Is this ethical behavior? Can she do this or not?
I can.
It's going to be up to you, the viewers, to decide.
I can. Listen, roots and berries and herbs are good for you. It's all about the dosage, okay? Making sure that there aren't any contraindications, all right? Google that.
Wow. Right. And that actually goes really well with coffee. So, you know, that kind of supports my point.
Coffee can also be used in spell work. Coffee's a potion, y'all. Coffee is totally a potion.
No, no,
Yes, it
no,
is.
no.
Yes, it
no,
is.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not true.
It can
It's
be.
not that true, guys.
It totally can be. Anything can be used in magic. Like just the other day, someone was like, "Oh yeah," because I read tarot. They're like, "Oh yeah, can like tarot cards be used in witchcraft?" I'm like, "Dude, anything can." Like there's this meme where someone's like, "Oh, I don't believe in witchcraft," and they're like, "Well, give me some of your hair," and then they're like freaking out. Give me some of your hair.
Wow. Think about it. See, okay, I
You
want
don't have to. You shed a lot of hair.
Wow. See, I want to be like Gambit. Gambit can just throw a card. It's like, can tarot be used in witchcraft? Hell yeah, watch this. Bam! That would be awesome. You guys gotta admit.
I agree.
Gotta admit, like, that'd be pretty fucking cool.
I'm Team Gambit.
Gambit was cool. He was kind of a tarot reader if you think about it.
He is cool because they have the X-Men 97 reboot continuation. You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Well, that is the thing you know now. You're welcome.
All right, so I watched X-Men back in the early 90s when they had, I want to say, the first cartoon of it. And it was really cool. It was really 80s looking, you know, because it was coming out of the early 90s. It was like really, really early 90s. Might have even been based on like the 80s characters that were in the comic books because they still looked like it. They all had the big ass hair. You know, like they all looked like rock stars. It was great. They had like spandex on. You know, I mean, they looked like fucking David Lee Roth groupies. It was great. Big ass hair. It was awesome.
Yeah, big hair squad.
Yeah, I love big hair. It's great. But yeah, you know, apparently you can use anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else to say about that subject. And I honestly, at this point,
I mean, we can go for like the subtopics that people like voted for. Just brush on them, and then just see who.
that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was like basically like a 50, 25 split between, like, no one wanted to talk about politics, you poor thing. No one wanted to talk about politics.
Nobody wants to fight.
We're tired of this, Grandpa.
You guys are scared.
We're just tired. We're not scared.
It's like, oh no, I don't want to be offended about politics.
No, we're just tired. Like, it's tiresome, this era.
Because we're talking about politics. Politics.
Yeah, so the vote, as of right now, was like 50% the ethics of spiritual domination, love, spells, and curses, which is like what we're rambling on about right now. Then 25% was like love and relationships, perception of sexes and genders. 0 for politics. And then 25% for mental health.
Yeah. Now, mental health, and that's a very interesting subject.
Oh yeah, like, so there's this really great practitioner, Arden Lee. She's like the mentee of Grant Morrison, speaking of comics, so this ties in. So she's learning chaos magic from Grant Morrison, who wrote, he wrote for like a bunch of Justice League comics. He created the Invisibles, but he's also they are also a magical practitioner. And so Arden Lee is like their student and develops the repatterning project. And we were watching this video that she had just uploaded talking about like ADHD, DID, and just the idea of, well, you didn't get that far into it, I already watched it, but it was like presenting spirits and entities presenting in people, whether they're like from within or external, the idea of like possession, and also talking about like with DID, dissociative identity disorder, which was like previously referred to as like having split personalities, the idea of like whether or not these like these alters or fragmentations, whether or not some of them could have also like come from outside and not just been like fractures of like oneself.
Okay, hold on. That was a lot. So, dissociative identity, what?
Yeah. Dissociative identity disorder, or DID, is what was previously referred to as having a split personality. So, from my limited understanding, because so we would be considered singlets in that we don't have split personalities, or alters rather. As far as I don't know.
No, I'm listening. This is interesting.
No, I'm saying I don't know if you have any alters. I don't know. We haven't known each other that long. You could like just like pop up somewhere and just be like,
Oh,
like,
oh.
Hi, this is Timmy. Like, I don't know. But yeah, so from my understanding, from like having like watched content made like by systems or people like people who have like multiple alters that present, sometimes they refer to themselves as like plural people or systems, because like these different aspects of the self or different personalities, they kind of work together in order to like process and shield the person from trauma. In many cases, a person who has DID, who has alters, these like fragmented selves, it is usually a result of childhood trauma in order to cope. So like different alters will front in order to handle different types of issues, or sometimes there may even be positive triggers where like say like an inner child like self might feel safe enough to come out and be more playful and things like that.
Okay, that's interesting. It kind of makes sense too, because sometimes people get so traumatized that they compartmentalize whole parts of themselves, I guess where they feel, and then express that, or maybe they feel safe at, or they feel they can express it. I kind of feel like kink is a great example of that. I'm not saying that that's like the whole embodiment, but I think to myself, okay, they have certain things about them. They go to an environment where they feel like they can be safe and express that. Maybe that's a slight example of it. No? I go off the rails with that one?
You know what? I'm totally outing myself, Jesus. But I did meet a system once at a munch. They were part of, like, it was like them and their partner, and they were doing a talk about consent, but I didn't get to really like speak with them about. I didn't think it was the time. But I didn't get to speak with them about like being being a system and being into. But yeah, there's definitely some crossover. Even Arden, who was doing the video that I was referencing.
Okay.
She had a history in BDSM, and she was talking about how she was like part of like why the repatterning project became a thing was she was a survivor of hypnotic techniques like used in a kink sense. So she consensually was hypnotized to become a better submissive, but after that relationship fell through, there's still like some hole that would trigger certain responses in her, like how she navigated relationships. Like that was like a very small portion of it. She's like touched on it a couple of times in previous videos, but it's very interesting.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny. It's like totally out of myself. So, yes, and I did not prepare for the subject of mental health tonight because of what we were going to talk about, but we're not getting a lot of feedback in the comments yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's right. So, yes, since we do have some time here, we'll continue talking about the other subjects. For all of you tuning in, though, I see somebody new just tuned in. If you have any questions, comments, say anything you want, as long as it's kind of respectful. Subject tonight, the main subject is the ethics of spiritual domination, love spells, and curses. So this could talk about, is it ethical to conduct spells on people? Is it ethical to dominate people spiritually? Even talking about mainstream religion. But we're also talking about aspects of mental health, love and relationships, perception of the sexes and genders, which to me is always a fascinating subject because the genders think so differently. They come from two different places. Not saying one's wrong or right, but definitely different.
Okay, so I'm a woke liberal person. Gender is performative. There are multiple genders. There are people that don't identify as a gender. Okay, so that's also something to consider, especially even going back to the DID conversation, because there are some systems where they have altars that are genderless. There are some people who are systems who like just as a whole, it's not just like, oh, a specific altar that doesn't identify as a gender, but like because different genders will present themselves, they're just like, they're either agender or like multi-gender, what have you, or like it'll just depend on who's fronting.
Okay, fair enough. That always is an interesting subject. Very interesting subject. What do you guys think? So like I said, I see somebody tuned in. This is always an interesting subject about the gender thing. I'll tell you what I think. In a nutshell, many of you that know me know that people call me libertarian. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I tend to be I guess you could say probably conservative libertarian. I wouldn't say that I'm hardcore on either side though. I have a friend who is hardcore, Trump supporter, all that stuff. I know you don't even like to hear his name, but that's who we're talking about. And I can't say that I agree with everything that he says. Sometimes I feel like maybe he's a little paranoid. And kind of doesn't have all the facts straight. But then again, sometimes I look at some of my far leftist friends and I'm like, all right, well, I think you're a little far out there. But when it comes to gender, I would say, and oh my God, don't get mad. It's my opinion. It's an opinion. Miss you, love you. I kind of feel like, biologically, you are male or female, which I know it's different from the gender subject, but I'm going to get to that. I think that, I kind of wish people would embrace what they are. Sometimes I wonder if maybe, sometimes I think that a lot of us who may have a fixed gender kind of look at people who are gender fluid and wonder if they're truly happy. Like maybe there is a bit of self-loathing. I'm not going to say that there is or that there isn't. That's an aspect that I don't fully understand. Now, don't get me wrong. I've got transgender friends. I respect them. I treat them, like anybody else. The way I look at it, if you treat me good, I'll treat you good, regardless of whatever differences, or biases we may have. If they're nice to me, regardless of who they are, then I'll be nice to them. Now, do I think that they're a woman because they, call themselves a woman? I personally don't. I tend to refer to them as they or them, which to me is kind of neutral territory, especially if you're kind of uncomfortable referring to them as an opposite gender, yet biologically they are another gender. So take it how you want it. Go.
Yeah, so another thing to consider is that, again, like with like sex and gender being different, there's also like gender is like a role that you perform, okay? It's like you talk about being a traditional masculine man. That's based primarily on like North American ideals, from my understanding, right? However, there are different social norms in different, not just like different countries, continents, um, even like biologically with animals. I mean, hell, hyenas have like giant. You know what? Let me not go there. That's fucking gross. But basically, but yeah, going back to like human anatomy and things like that. So, you being a man of age may be more familiar with the term hermaphrodite. We don't say that anymore.
Yes.
There are people that are intersex, which is where the I in LGBTQIA plus and all that
Whoa.
come from.
Okay, I just learned something new.
Ooh, crash course time. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's settle in, kids. All right. So happy Pride, by the way. For the like, I'm a straight. I'm a born like cishet person, but like, happy Pride, y'all. So all them letters, right? We got L for the lesbians, B for bisexual,
Okay, I know
Q
that.
for. Well, some of the people tuning in might not, so hush.
Good.
Thank you. Q for queer or questioning. Okay, so for some people who don't really know all the things they like, but they know they like a lot of things on a person, right? And there's T for transgender. Wait, LGBTQ. Oh, I think I mixed letters. Yeah, T and Q. Okay, and I is largely intersex people. So there are people that have configuration, like different genital configurations. A lot of people like associate hermaphrodite slash like intersex folk as having like both parts like externally visible. However, there are plenty of people who, in some cases, identify under the trans umbrella, who they may have like the external parts of one gender, like they may, or one sex, right? So they could be a person who looks like, you know, totally like, total woman, right? Total womanly woman, but then like they have all these health problems. They go and get it checked out. Bam, they got internal gonads instead of ovaries.
Wow.
Yes, there was even a case that I saw where there was someone, they were like raised as a girl. They were like this black person over in the UK. They were raised as a girl, grew up as a girl, but then like when they started going through like puberty age, they're just like, I don't know, like, I don't know. And they started like, expressing more like masculine, like what would be associated with like masculine traits, not physical traits, but like emotional traits. They just like didn't identify with like the gender that they were presenting as largely, which was like largely a woman or a girl, because they were still a child at this point. But the way that their genitalia were configured, they had the opportunity to go either way, to choose to be a man or a woman, depending on how they got their surgery. They chose to live their life as a man because they felt / knew that they would be treated better. But growing up until they started getting pubescent, they looked and were raised and socialized like a little girl. So there's like a lot of times, again, people associate people who are intersex, classically referred to as hermaphrodites, as having like just, oh, they're he, she with both parts. Don't say that. That's mean. Don't say that. But like there are some people, they have like kind of ambiguous genitalia where you can't really tell what's going on. And then there's some people who like they largely look like they have, again, they like might look like all man. And then like surprise, there's an ovary in there. That's why they like, or there's a uterus in there. That's why they can't have kids, or other various health issues. Yeah. And then so then there's like I, and there's A for like asexual, and some people also like say like agender, which like again sex and gender are different. And then like some people say ally, like there's an ally flag, which I think is totally unnecessary and ugly as sin. Like it's so gross. So like we have like the rainbow flag, and then like the ally flag has like the letter A, but it's like black and white, and it's so bad. It's so bad and unnecessary. We don't need a flag. We don't need a flag. We're not that special. We don't need a flag, and it's ugly. But yeah. Any other questions?
Actually, yes. Okay, so what ally flag? What's that, like the hetero flag?
Yeah. So basically, anyone who doesn't fall under the rainbow umbrella. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Rainbow umbrella. I mean, that's interesting. Okay. All right, so now what'd you say, intersex? Or then, so we don't refer to them as hermaphrodites anymore?
No.
Okay.
Just like how we don't say transsexual, we say transgender. I mean, like there are some like old school folks, depending on the generation they came up in, that do still refer themselves as that because that's what they're comfortable with. Just like how like some people they feel comfortable with the like queer is like a reclaimed term. Like it's largely used as an insult, but like now like a lot of people identify as queer as like just kind of like ambiguous, fluctuating sexuality. Uh, yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, so, this is kind of interesting, and this is something, I don't know, this is something I always kind of go back and forth with. Okay, so, a lot of liberal leaning people tend to think that gender is something that is learned. All right, so I have had that discussion. Maybe some of you feel that way too, that it is learned behavior. Okay, all right, so maybe some of it is learned behavior. I tend to feel like some of it is also instinctual. Okay. I'll tell you what. The way I see it is that, if you have somebody that might be born traditionally in their masculine, quote unquote, whatever the hell that is for you, but I mean, let's say traditionally masculine, likes to hunt, protect the flock, likes to be in charge and all that good stuff that, we associate with, I guess, what, cisgender, would that be it? Cisgender people? Traditional gender roles?
Yeah, cisgender, heterosexual men.
Okay, sure, sure. And then, you got your traditional, quote unquote, traditional woman, who, I mean, let's say likes to be a homekeeper, likes to let her man take care of things, likes to cook, just stuff like that, quote unquote, feminine things. In the flowers, I kind of wonder, okay, and I still feel convinced that a lot of that is biological. And I know a lot of liberals don't think that. Do you think, let me ask you this, okay, since, I mean, you lean left, you're in the room right now. Do you think that a lot of traditional gender role acting people are being themselves biologically, or do you feel like they're copying and adopting learned traditional gender role behavior? What do you think?
I feel like it's more so learned behavior. There may be some people who have an affinity for certain things that commonly fit in like the roles that are ascribed to their sex. But I feel as though if like certain behaviors are modeled for people coming of age, whether it is through like their immediate household, like nurture, or even through advertisement and propaganda, like the whole issue that a lot of us have, a lot of us have with the trad wife movement that's happening right now, is that a lot of like the whole like trad wife, like trying to bring back traditional values. These are things that largely they're basing their ideals on advertisements, things that were like an idyllic life that was sold to us that didn't exactly exist for every single household that came of age, or that came into being like during the like 50s, 60s. It seems to be like, and in some cases 40s. It seems to be like what some people shoot for, and even going to like the kink thing. There's there's this huge discourse, well, not discourse, but it's like people are like, oh yeah, like stop trying to make your 1950s or like your 1950s household kink or your like domination kink a problem for everyone else. It's like, okay, sure, if you want to like run your household like that and just like be completely dominated by your guy, sure, but don't make it so that people don't have the choice to do that, which is why feminism is great, because it is supposed to offer people the right to choose, whereas people now, because they see lifestyles that displease them personally but aren't necessarily affecting them directly, they're like, oh hell no, we need to take it back to a time that didn't really exist for every single household and didn't necessarily work for every single household.
Okay.
They were just advertised effectively because like the biggest export that America has offered is propaganda.
Okay, so that's very interesting. See, this is a conversation that really does happen a lot between the conservative and liberal communities. Is, as she said, um, a lot of times they think that it is kind of assumed upon them without their choice by a patriarchal society. Would that be correct? Enforcing patriarchal, whatever however you pronounce the traditions. And I mean, I think for a lot of us that kind of lean on the conservative side, we would look at it and just say, oh, well, that's just natural order. I mean, traditional women, the feminine energy, want to do those things, right? Traditional men of masculine energy want to do these things, right? And these are things that we even see in nature a lot. And it's not true with every single creature. Sometimes those roles are totally reversed. I've seen that in nature too. But I think a lot of us, in the conservative world tend to think, okay, well, that's just nature. That's just women and men doing what they would naturally do. And we tend to view a lot of the new revolutions happening as kind of a rebellion of natural order. Whereas I think that a lot of the liberals tend to view it as a rebellion against oppressive tradition. So, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. What do you think?
So. It's not so much that the tradition is oppressive, is that a lot of these social mores that, again, were largely advertised to people, that were modeled to people, like, through film, through, like, product placement and stuff like that. Like, you can actually find a lot of videos from, like, wartime that were sponsored by, like, GE and even McGraw-Hill, like, screw McGraw-Hill and their lying textbooks. But yeah, you can find a lot of like classic black and white films that basically talk about, how to be a good person and like dating and marriage and things like that. And I'm gonna be honest, like some of them they do have some gems that a lot of like modern conservative people could learn from. However, a lot of people are mostly focused on the fictionalized like fantasy, like, oh, like why can't women like walk around in like ball gowns and tea dresses and I'm a fashion girly, so like these are just immediately coming to mind. But it's like they want like flouncy, flowery ladies, right? And it's just like the world isn't made for that right now. We would love, well, I would love to be a flouncy, flowery lady. I would love that. However, like until we have better paved roads where I can like trounce about in heels comfortably, until we have like better like wages where, you know, there's not as much pressure for men to perform. Like, sure, like, working is important. We all should contribute to society, absolutely. We all should have the right to contribute to society in our own way. We should all have the ability to. But if these companies at large are not giving us living wages, we cannot properly, healthily have a nuclear household. We cannot have, people popping out babies and having them be functioning members of society, because people can't be like, parents can't be fully available to them because they're like just burn the hell out. There's so many people who would love to just like sit at home, take care of their kids, and that's it. But just the way that, because capitalism just ruined everything. Capitalism just ruined everything.
Okay. I'm not a fan of capitalism either. I can agree with you on that one. I mean, we were just talking about that earlier. I mean, sure, it can be, sometimes it can be a source for good. Seems like most of the time it just ends up getting completely corrupted and taken over. That can be really annoying. Greed definitely seems to motivate it more often than not, and a lot of people get screwed. Even people that are hardworking, that try really hard, still get screwed over by it. I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of that. And it does seem to dominate society that the society that we live in, at least here in America. I'm not sure how it is overseas on a large scale. I've only done, limited traveling overseas. Definitely different, but, in the long run, I don't know how it's incredibly different. Okay, that's very interesting that you say all that, though. I mean, I'm always fascinated by the, discussion about the genders and the differences and the roles, especially from the aspect of debating about it from whether it's nature, aka biological, or assumed roles. So, okay, hold on one second. I just want to say this last thing.
Yes.
I think that, because the way you described it, it's like you almost described it as if a lot of the presentation of the gender roles is propaganda. I mean, is that what you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Because the thing with America is that I hope this thing is shut down. But the thing with America at large, like I said, like our biggest export is propaganda. Has been up until very recently, getting people to believe that we are the greatest and that we live the best way and that we provide the best that we are the best, that we are the absolute best at besting, right? And like we're just effective advertisers. We've just been effective advertisers to, people have, dressed more Western and like assimilated and integrated like Western like visual culture and like Western media. There's like the globalization has largely been due to Western media influence, I feel. While at the same time, it has been encouraging hyper consumerism. And it's been this way since the advent of like film and television. Like, even just the other day, I was talking about how one of the most egregious aspects of like product placement is the first Thor movie. If you are like a Marblehead, and if you just like, the more that you're aware of product placement, it's kind of just like you might as well just like do one of those, like take a shot for like every like random cereal box you see or every it's. I mean, of course, for like big budget pictures and things like that, they have to get funding, sure, but we're constantly being advertised to and being offered solutions for things that we didn't necessarily know that we had a problem with. I mean, hell, even, so again, going back to classical propaganda, Clorox, they sold,
It's lightning.
oh, I hate that, I hate lightning. Oh. But Clorox was sold to women to douche. Yes, you can find the brochures. They encouraged women to douche with Clorox to keep their husbands.
No.
Hell yes. Like I said, propaganda is the problem. Advertisements are the problem. People are basing their ideals on like flyers and promotions for this ideal fantasy that's just made to like sell you how to look, what to have, what to put in and on your body.
Really?
Yes.
I'm gonna look this up later.
Ooh, I will compile a playlist.
So Clorox for vaginal cleanliness.
Yes.
Clorox bleach.
I don't remember if it was bleach, but I don't remember if it was bleach specifically, but their early cleaning products, they literally had a pamphlet encouraging women to douche down there so that they didn't smell, so that their husbands wouldn't leave them, because the biggest fear that you could have is that your husband would leave you destitute because you were already signed off away from your parents and you had to rely on your man for everything. And if you were divorced, you were damaged goods anyway. So you had to keep your man because he made all the money, and you had to be prim and proper and perfect and have your hair curled, and like even the series The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, like watching it with a man, it's just like, oh, like wow, that's so crazy. She got up at like booty o'clock before sunrise to do her makeup and like settled into bed before her husband's alarm went off so that she would like look perfect.
Wow.
But that's an actual thing. Like there are, I have some etiquette books. Like there are books and there are literal guides. There are literal guides from like decades ago on like how to be like the perfect wife, the perfect mother. There are people on YouTube who have done like morning routines based on guidebooks from the 40s and 50s, like to show what it'd be like to keep a household, to like the exercises that they would do to keep fit. Again, I could compile a playlist, y'all. I've done my research. So gender roles are bullshit.
Okay. Well, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I personally feel that there is some science to it. I personally feel there is some biology to it. And, I mean, and that's not to say it's across the board. I think there's some science to it, even if politics, propaganda weren't involved. And, yes, we may feel differently about that. But there it is. Well, I mean, I can say one thing. If somebody, I mean, that's just horrible. If that is true. I've never heard it, so I'm not going to say if it's true or not true. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say it's bullshit. I'm not going to say it's absolutely true. I'm just going to say I don't know. But what I will say, if that is true, that is horrible. That is awful. My God, talk about ethics. Shit.
And that is circling back to love spells and domination. Yeah, that's why love spells are needed, because it's already hard enough on a mundane level to have to maintain yourself and just like look pretty and young and perfect forever. So like you might as well do fucking magic about it.
There it is. Love spells, so you don't have to use bleach in your tush.
No, not just your
vagina. All of it.
All of it.
Love spells or bleach. You decide. And in 2025, the choice is yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy, though. you know, I have seen some of these etiquette videos. You know, there are a lot of propaganda-looking etiquette videos from the 50s especially. Have you noticed that?
Oh, darling, of course.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like, oh, and make sure when you sit the spoon down, be sure to sit it within, you know, inch. Sit it down softly now. Don't worry. I'm like, what the? Act like a human.
Well, I do have to say this because I did teach etiquette. I did teach children's etiquette. I know my language is totally showing my skills and expertise here. But yeah, I will say that like with dining etiquette, in some cases it makes sense in terms of like having like proximity, like the whole um, like the placement of a glass so that you don't like wind up like bumping elbows of people, the placement of a knife, so then like whether it's like facing like towards you or outwards, so it's not like viewed as like a potential, you know, weapon or something like that. So there are certain things in terms, at the very least in terms of like what, at the very least in terms of like dining etiquette that makes sense. So as not to cause offense or injury, or at the very least a messy experience. Physically, I mean, like emotionally, there's going to be drama. I mean, like tea will be spilled somehow.
I would be so damaged if somebody set the spoon down the wrong way at the table.
I have a spoon horror story. I actually do. I actually do legitimately have a spoon horror story. Okay, so again, I learned dining etiquette from my grandmother. It wasn't like anything super duper traumatic, but when I went to college, we were at like this networking thing. I think I was the only person who actually like knew about this kind of stuff, so it bothered me. So we were served multiple courses. We were like all the students were seated at like one side of the table, and then they had like people from different like companies like HSN and stuff like that. I went to school for retail merchandising, product development, so they had like various like retail like buyers and so on and so forth at these tables. So they were like kind of like gauging if we knew how to act right, right? So they didn't serve us a soup dish, but they had a soup spoon. I had my dessert.
The nerve.
I had I had my mousse with a soup spoon, and then I realized, oh my god, I used the wrong spoon. But then I was like, oh my god, it's already been in my mouth. I can't set it on the table because there's like not any place to rest it. So I have to commit to the bit, and that's haunted me for over a decade of my life.
Oh my god. All right, so two things. Did you say you've eaten moose before, like the animal?
No.
You said my moose?
No chocolate mousse.
Chocolate moose.
But I would like to try mousse if that is available. I want to try rattlesnake. I want to try rattlesnake sausages. Can we get some? We're in Florida.
like,
We're in Florida. I eat gator jerky. Okay, I'm down to try like damn near anything.
Okay. Yes, granted. I love alligator too. Yes, we are true Floridians. Listen, what the hell though? I mean, the whole etiquette thing. So, you know, like you're with your friends, you know, they don't put the saucer back on the cup back on the saucer, right? And that's it. I mean, so like they sit it down and they're like, look, like this. Oh yeah, you know, just that's so good. You slam it down to her. It's like, you son of a bitch. We are like never hanging out again. I mean, is it really that bad?
Horror important to me.
Oh my god. God, his spoons and knives are like so like disaligned with each other. Oh my god, like Becky, I'm never gonna talk to her again.
I know to expect nothing of you.
I won't even know where the spoon. I'm like, hell if I don't know, just find a damn spoon. Here, grab that guy's spoon. He ain't using it. I mean, I don't know about this etiquette and all that.
I have Emily Post's book on etiquette, like a big giant one. I have a copy.
Who?
Emily Post.
Okay. So that's like one of these etiquette majors, you know, probably went to Harvard, Ivy League, and Colorado, and all that stuff about etiquette. I mean, I personally don't pay attention to it. I have seen some fancy people.
Very apparent that you don't.
Well, I've seen some fancy people, like, you know, literally look at that shit. You know, like you go to like some rich people's house, you know, sit down in the cup, you slam it down like Thor. It's like, oh my God. And they're like, oh my God. Like he is never coming over here again.
Yeah.
Like I swear to God.
Yeah, you closed some doors on yourself, my dear.
Oh. Come on, guys. Just break out the damn cereal already.
Listen, you want power? You want power? Learn the right cutlery, okay? You saw what happened. You watched Pretty Woman. You came up in the 80s. You've seen Pretty Woman. She turned out okay. Why? Because she learned some damn etiquette.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to stop being a prostitute, all you have to do is fold your damn napkins up the right way and put the spoons down in the proper place.
Period.
Period. That's funny.
I am.
I mean, I see it. I mean, I get it, but I can't worry about stuff like that. It would drive me crazy. Like, I don't know. Just too much of my damn brain matter going to that. It's like I'm just too busy living in the moment.
I've seen how you cut your food. It terrifies me. But that's mostly left-hand people. He's a left-hander.
Yes, it's true. I'm actually holding this with my left hand. I don't know if this thing is reversed. Sometimes it'll reverse the camera. I am actually left-handed.
This is actually my left hand.
So sometimes it'll look like it's the right hand if you look at it from reverse. Cameras are weird. I don't know. Engineers, figure that shit out and fix it. Don't make excuses. Just fix it. We're all tired of turning the camera around and you're waving your right hand at somebody and it's like, oh wait, no, he's waving his left hand. It's like, no, I'm waving my right hand. It's just the camera inverts like the picture as it's filming. And so now you think, you know, that this is the right side over here, and this is actually the left side. And now you think my damn candle is on my mantle on the damn right side of my house when it's actually on the left side of my house. It's just such a bunch of trash. Guys, I don't know where to go from here. This was a subject that, well, we really could use some comments.
Yeah.
We have not had any comments. Now, the show is floated in part thanks to you, our viewers. So, yes, if anybody does have any comments, please ask why. I'll probably give it a few more minutes. And if anybody has something they want to say, a question they want to ask or chime in, feel free to. If not, I'll probably sign off a little bit early. So, it's up to you. Unless you have anything you want to say.
Oh, I have more than enough to say.
By all means, have at it. It is all yours.
Yeah, okay. So since we're talking about sex and gender, yeah, might as well just, yeah.
Your voice doesn't carry as well.
Yeah, because I don't like yelling.
It's okay.
I'm not like you. I guess I'm too soft and feminine.
See?
And I just let my music scream for me.
I'm like, hi, Billy Mays here.
You know, I'm just like that that American Psycho meme where he's just like walking through, like getting through his day, and I'll just have on like some hardcore music or something like that. Just like I let my music scream for me, basically. Yeah. Yeah, but gender roles are bullshit. They are largely propaganda. There is some I feel like it's partially propaganda, partially like direct nurture. There are certain people that have affinities and skill sets for certain things that would be commonly prescribed to their gender or gender presentation.
Okay, so I've got a question.
All right.
So, you don't think that any of it is inherited, biological? Do you think there's science behind any of the gender roles?
Okay, so in terms of biologics, I do feel as though I'm a huge proponent for epigenetics.
Okay.
So are you familiar with what epigenetics are?
I am not, no.
Okay, so I largely would see discussions around epigenetics in relation to, was it post-enslavement syndrome, something like that. Basically, like discussions around how a lot of people of African descent, they still like carry like lingering trauma in their bloodline that manifests as like either certain actions that one would take or even like health concerns as a result of said generational trauma, like from that, so reaching through one's bloodline. So in a sense, I do believe in biology teaching it, like informing one's actions, but not exclusively not exclusively based on one sex.
Okay, so then my question to that is, so then do you believe that the traditional gender roles being affected, in part by biology, what do you believe that is something that comes just from trauma?
I don't believe that it is informed exclusively by trauma, no, but I'm just using that as an example.
Sure.
That and something that we must also consider is that, again, like I mentioned, there are some people who would like to, some women that would like to conform to like what are considered or propagandized to be traditional gender roles or like expressions of those gender roles, like very specific expressions of gender roles. Like, sure, there are women who like will love to cook and clean and stuff like that, but they're not necessarily going to be making stuff from scratch. They're going to be like, like doing the hamburger helper and like stuff from a box, but like people are still going to like bitch and moan about it, even though their kids are being fed and they like still have like their house clean to a degree. It may not be like, sparkling and, they may not like be like, dolled up and ready for their guy, with like slippers and a martini in hand, again, going back to that specific era that people seem to be harkening for that didn't exist largely for a lot of people. And like there are some people who are like, oh, like women can't and shouldn't do like certain hard labor. But depending on the region that they lived in, they were taking care of like farm animals and stuff like that. Even during wartime, when men went to war, women were taking care of the factories and stuff like that, and many of them thrived in industrial jobs. So, and those jobs were not largely made with women, especially women's bodies in mind. A lot of machinery, and even to this day, like cars, because you love cars, he loves cars, this. Like we're having a swear jar with like, every time they says Trans Am Supra, I think we're at like just over $3 in the past couple days.
We're like at $3 million.
We're getting there, but just within the past few days. But anyway, so like even talking about cars, even modern cars to this day are not made with women in mind, especially even like pregnant women, because they're talking about like, oh, we gotta like protect the children. However, up until recently, they didn't start making crash dummies that like resembled like women with pregnant bellies. Like even like seatbelts aren't necessarily constructed with women's bodies in mind. Like a lot of women, they might not wear their seatbelts or they might not wear them properly because of discomfort in the booba area. And they're at risk because like there aren't necessarily like options for them. A lot of things are made with men's bodies as the benchmark. And that even also tracks with mental health. The mental health discussions are have been largely centered around for centuries the ideal of like white men and white boys. And that like if you don't act like the ideal white man and white boy from centuries ago, then like you got all them letters.
I don't know where to begin with all this.
Good.
Well,
Juice bottle. It's not a gunshot.
yeah. I'm drinking my juice. I had to grab juice for this. Plus, honestly, I've been a little under the weather. So, my voice has actually been really Throat's been really sore. So it's honestly a miracle I even came on here tonight because I was really not feeling too hot. And feeling a little bit better.
Finish chewing your damn food first.
I'm almost done. They already know.
Yeah, this is some this is the ASMR they come here for. Yeah.
They know who I am.
Yeah, and they suffer for it.
They're like, oh, DIASISS, please comfort yourself. We love you so much.
Yeah, I bet they love it watching you
Right,
comfort
right.
yourself all night.
Wow. I mean, if you want to.
Definitely not going to be monetized.
I don't even know where to begin with what you said.
Which part?
There's just everything. Okay. Cars being designed with men in mind. Cars to me are the girliest looking than they have ever been before. I mean, I don't even feel like they build cars for men anymore. They look like chick cars. Okay, now as far as the ergonomics go and how they're, I don't know, but they just look like chick cars today.
I'm not talking about aesthetics.
I'm talking about I want aesthetics.
I want
it to look cool. I want it to shoot fire out of the damn exhaust.
I mean, same, but I also want us to be collectively safe about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, safety's cool, I guess. I don't know. I mean, my 84 Trans Am is plenty safe. I mean, if you wreck somebody at 35, you probably won't die. I mean, you might not die. You might live. That's pretty good. But, okay. I don't know. Like, when I look at cars, and I am looking mainly from an aesthetic, they're all soft and round and just sweet, scrumptious, big, beefy, fat, chunky, bloated looking. And I just think, man, it looks like a chick car. That looks like a chick car. That looks like a chick car. That looks like a chick car.
And you say it in such a derogatory way. You love women.
Sure, but it's true.
Why are you shitting on femininity, dude? Why are you shitting on femininity? Why are you
'Cause
shitting
I
on feminine
don't-
presenting cars?
Because I don't want a car that looks like this. So there's chick car in a bad way, to me, and then there's shit car in a good way. Okay, so like a chick car in a good way would be something really sleek and sexy. Okay, like an old school like convertible Alfa Romeo, like from the 60s or some shit, or 50s. Okay, now that is very sexy feminine, right? In my opinion. And some of the cars, even from my era that I like, I would consider, we were just talking about it earlier, actually, my 84 Trans Am, for any of the old school heads out here, I mean, look, that Firebird was marketed to women, by and large, even then. Same with the 77 Celica, a lot of women drove those cars. And even some of the Corvettes, like the C4 era, they were marketed, a lot of women own them, and still do. But there's just a different style back then. And like, when I say chick car, I mean, I'm talking about like a Volkswagen Beetle. Or like, I don't know, some little cute car. You know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. Whether I'm explaining this shit or not, like, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the little cute, big-eyed looking cars that are really cute looking, short, stubby looking. Okay, I'm talking about that sort of thing. So, I feel like we see more and more of those today. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that men aren't really buying cars like they used to. Women buy, I want to say, like most cars. Now, whether they're made for women, that I don't know. I haven't actually, as a man, have not really thought about that. Like I said, I'm sick.
They may be marketed to women, but so many things, like I've been saying, so many things have been marketed to women that are inherently harmful to them. Like men.
We're not that bad.
Let's pull up the stats, folks.
Yeah. The stats of how many women have kept houses and cars and property of men. Yes. That is a thing too, by the way.
Yeah, because we generally get paid less. It's more expensive to be a woman, like in terms of
Used to be.
used to be. Okay. What do you spend on your monthly menstrual products, sir?
Oh my God. Give me that.
What do you spend on your makeup and skincare in order for you to be perceived as more attractive and inherently more marketable and trustworthy, sir? Or do you not inherently have value as a hypermasculine, muscular, manly man? I use makeup as a tool. I don't want to, that's why I'm not wearing makeup right now. But I wear makeup because it makes me more sellable. Okay? I get glitter all up in my eyes. Why? Because it makes you want to listen to me and pay attention. I hate it. Well, actually, no, I like glitter. I do. I genuinely do enjoy like painting my face. But that being said, it is a tool more than anything than a joy.
Okay, fair enough. But I feel that in today's society, it seems like women are doing a little bit better financially today. Now, I know that that has not always been the case, definitely hasn't. But to me, today, it's like they're the ones with all the breaks and all the money and all the benefits.
All the
and
breaks.
Sure. Sure, why not? I mean, they tend to get through school. Men fail through school pretty bad, for whatever reason. At least more than women, in my opinion.
In your opinion, but
In my
are we
opinion.
not talking about facts?
Well, my opinion is what I have observed.
Okay.
And I feel like I've observed that it seems to me that women are more successful nowadays than, at least in America, than men are in general. That's how I feel. So.
Okay, and you feel like part of... Thank you. Do you feel like part of it is due to breaks that we've gotten just for being ladies, just for having boobas? Or do you think it's because we learn and share knowledge and resources, whereas men tend to compete against each other to their own detriment, whereas women tend to build community because we have to look out for ourselves and each other? Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that, I think that that's all true. I think it's also true that, I feel like maybe, just women appeal to men to protect yourself. Which again, I personally believe is
Bullshit.
I believe is biological.
Bullshit.
And if they are starting to slack off and fail in school, I believe that maybe men might be more inclined to try to help them because maybe they feel bad for them. Whereas I see a man failing and they're like, well, tough shit, dude. Grow a pair and make it happen. But, if you're a woman, it's like, okay, well, hey, look, we'll help you out.
Men want to protect women like they want to protect their trophies and their goddamn action figures and collectible figurines, okay? They view us as objects. They don't view us as humans. They don't care about our thoughts. They only like the fact that we're around and available to them to look at. They don't care about our well-being as humans collectively, men protecting women. We are assaulted, kidnapped, sold, even like before we're goddamn pubescent, okay? We are the hottest commodity. We are valuable because they want to control us.
I think that that's very cynical. I don't think that that's all men. Just like I can't say all women are gold diggers.
We're not gonna not all men this.
I mean, that'd be like saying all women are gold diggers after your material possessions.
But that's the
strictly for your financial security.
That's the forefront of your mind because of, I'm not going to get too deep into your personal experiences because I don't know what you divulge on your channel about your personal experiences and your personal biases against that.
Well, see, you got the battle of the sexes here. And, I mean, I feel like there's some valid points on both sides. I do. I do. I feel the way I feel. She feels the way that we feel. She feels the way she feels. But, yes, I don't. I mean, like if I helped a woman, it wouldn't be just because I view her as an object. Hell, I would help an unattractive woman.
Oh, how sweet. You're the first guy who's actually said that to my face.
I totally would. I have, actually, I have.
Oh, that's so nice. You helped somebody you didn't want to fuck.
I have helped people I don't want to fuck.
Great. Good job.
Man or woman.
Good job. Happy Pride.
Well, yes, so I don't think that all men feel that way. I don't even know if that's a safe or healthy stereotype. I don't know, maybe just the whole thing to me sounds very cynical. Don't you think that sounds a little cynical? It's like all women suck, all women are ready to suck your energy out of your soul, and all women are trying to take all your money and all that.
I, for one, am here for soul-sucking activities. I think that more women should engage in the dark arts and feed off the souls of everyone they can.
Wow. Okay, so few people have tuned in. We are talking about the battle of the sexes, traditional gender roles, typical things that really piss people off. And we're also talking about the ethics of spiritual domination, love spells, and curses. And is it okay to use magic when you want to seduce people? All right, so got a couple of comments. Michael, what's up, man? We are doing fantastic. We're just having a friendly debate over here. Let's see, I'm watching the beautiful softball players out in Texas on the other channel. Well, John, thank you for tuning in. And yeah, definitely, if you guys have any questions, like I said, we are going at it. So.
Not on camera.
Oh, well, we'll get views. People would watch it.
Before it gets taken down.
We could use some views. I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, you could.
Yeah. We both could.
You could.
Anyway. But yes, good evening to you. Sounds like you have a wonderful guest. Yes. So, this is Bianca. Yeah.
Oh, playing with the side eye.
So, this is Bianca. She is a professional tarot reader.
What's up, homies?
Yep. You can check her out at the Spook Easy on Psychic Sundays from 12 to 5 o'clock.
11 to 5.
Oh, 11 to 5. Okay.
Yep.
11 to 5. Spook Easy, that is here in Ybor City in Tampa, Florida. She also does readings at many other venues around here. So, yes, if you have any questions for her, you can ask away. And yeah, like I said, guys, we're talking about basically, for the last few minutes, we have been talking about, love and relationships, perception of the sexes, and genders. So if you guys are just now tuning in, you may or may not know that I kind of lean conservative, traditional when it comes to gender roles. I tend to think that they're biological and just nature. She has the view that these are more...
But that's bullshit.
Yeah. She believes they're propaganda. And yeah. So that's what we're talking about, guys. If you have any questions or want to chime in about that, we're also talking about the ethics of spiritual domination. And that could also pertain to cults and religion. Spiritual domination can come in many forms, as many of you know. So that, love spells, curses, yeah. Tarot. So John Mitchell says tarot.
With the thumbs up.
So what are we doing now? So Michael, we are talking about either genders, gender wars, battle of the sexes, traditional masculine and feminine types. Is that ethical? Is that nature? You be the judge.
Yeah, y'all are gonna wanna catch the replay because we had some varied discussions, from everything involving people with multiple personalities to propaganda, like chemical companies encouraging women to douche with their chemicals back in the war times and stuff.
Yeah, a lot going on. But yes, so okay, tarot. Yes, John Mitchell, tarot. And yeah, like I said, Michael, that's what we're talking about now.
Yeah, Michael says domination.
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 Yes. So I'm not sure what religion you are, Michael, but we were just basically talking about, should people have the authority to be spiritually dominant over other people? We know that a lot of times people will put a lot of propaganda on people, and use arguments from authority about what they want you to believe about God and about religion. And then you have the magical or pagan side of it, which dabbles in divination, magic, spells, and even curses where they feel like it may be necessary if people have gone unchecked. Let's see here. So I'm chillin' says, real quick, I don't know if it's been asked, but will you be doing another roundtable about the Jehovah's Witnesses? So I'm open to it. If I thought that there was a big enough, what do you call it? Big enough demand for it. Yes, I would be open to that. Now, will I be working with, John from XJW Analyzer or Jimmy again? Probably not, unfortunately, no. I feel like that ship has sailed, and that was a time where we came together and had a lot of success. And unfortunately, that has never duplicated. That has never been replicated. And so I'm not sure if that will ever come back. And, I'm not even sure if any of us would want to work together with each other anymore, to be honest. Not to get too deep into the details, but yeah, I'm not even sure if we want to work together anymore. Which, in a way, it is kind of a shame. The show was very successful. It was instantly successful. It was like an instant hit, which is another reason I felt like we got so many haters so quick, is because it was. It was doing really well. But I would actually like to do more stuff. Okay, I'm going to get to that, Michael, here in a second, because that's actually a great question.
We already touched on it.
We're going to touch on it again. We're going to touch all over it.
Okay, let's not. Okay, the phrasing is phrasing.
Moisture. No, but I'm going to get back to that.
I'm not sure. We don't care.
No, I'm just joking. I don't care.
By the way, we don't care. We don't care what's in your pants. Unless.
I'm not joking. Go ahead. Shit it.
Why? Why are you silencing me?
Oh God, here we go.
Why are you silencing me as a woman?
But yeah, so getting back to the Jehovah's Witness thing, because a lot of people know me for that, and it was. It got more views than anything else I ever did, which is cool. I would be interested in following the Jehovah's Witnesses, but more from an activism standpoint, like going to actually protest and televising that. So going to protesting the hell out of them. Protesting the governing body, maybe even trying to find them in public places, sign and picket them, picket signs and all that good stuff, or news. Like I would love to have a news station where we were constantly monitoring basically where they fucked up. And it's like, all right, well, here's another case in the courtroom, where the Jehovah's Witnesses or governing body has disfellowshipped somebody for reporting CSA. You guys know what that means. Can't say it out loud, but you know what it means, because YouTube silences everything. But yeah, so no, I'd be very interested in that. So getting back to the question, and this is another interesting one since we're talking about genders and the battle of the sexes for everybody just tuning in. So, what is my input on transgenders? And actually, I would love to answer that. It tends to piss a lot of people off, but it is the way that I feel. And I'll let you know right now, I have transgender friends that I treat no differently than anybody else. So, how do I feel about it? I mean, as people, I feel like they can be as good or bad as anybody else. You know, and I don't feel like they should be treated differently according to what gender they, feel like they identify with. Now, me being kind of traditionally conservative, do I feel like they're women just because they say they're women, or do I feel like they're men just because they say they're men? I personally do not. I am kind of more into, biological gender roles, which, as we've discussed here earlier, and we'll probably get back into that here in a minute, that can be defined very differently from person to person. Now, I usually refer to them as they or them. Do I believe that somebody's a woman because they say they're a woman? No. I guess that's where I would probably be traditionally conservative. No, it's like if you are born a male, you are biologically a male, even if you identify as being a woman. And if you want to identify with that, cool. But do I view you as a woman? No, I'd probably see you more as like a lady boy. You are a woman, or you're a man living in your feminine, or you're a woman living in traditional masculine, and you don't identify with your assigned what sex? Your assigned sex? Yeah, good.
Okay, so on the ladyboy thing, that is like a specific subset of people, a specific subset of,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like so the ladyboy community is like largely what we would refer to, or at least us woke folk would refer to as like trans women, over in like Thailand and stuff like that. But they commonly say like, I'm ladyboy. Like there are many who they don't identify as a woman. They refer to them. They don't say like they're a trans woman. They don't say that they're a man. They don't say they're a woman. They identify as ladyboy. That is their chosen name for themselves. But a lot of people here would like use that as a slur, similar to like how they would say like, oh, they're a he, she, or something. Oh, even just no. Trans rights, happy pride. I also believe that trans people like just need to be treated like good humans because they're good humans. And then what's interesting in terms of like the trans umbrella, because it's not just a matter of, because it is an umbrella, it is a spectrum within the like sex and gender identity spectrums, is that there are some people who identify as they're like a trans man, so they're transitioning as from like a woman to a man, and a trans woman who's transitioning from like a man to a woman, right? But then there are some people who who identify as trans but don't ever physically transition.
Right, that's
Yeah.
true.
So like there's that whole aspect as well. And I too generally tend to lean on like just referring to people as they them, simply because I go to so many spaces that are queer friendly, that are LGBTQIA plus friendly. Like so I'm just bound to encounter someone who is like trans, non-binary, gender queer, any amalgamation of gender identity. So I usually just go with like they, them, for pretty much everyone. Specifically if I know I'm entering queer spaces, which I go to a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm a straight. I'm a cishet.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting thing. I mean, just how much diversity there is, because you're around the community, even though you are, like you said, cis hetero. It's an interesting thing to talk about. It really is. I think it's fascinating in many ways. But yeah, I mean, that was a good question. And yeah, I'm not assuming you're trans. But it is an interesting thing to talk about, right? I mean, because, you know, we're in an era where we have to accept that, you know, they're not going anywhere. You know, regardless of how you feel about them, they're not going anywhere. And society, you know, we as a society are going to have to figure out how we're going to all be able to live together. I personally think them is something that's good and safe, and I feel like it's also realistic. If you don't feel comfortable calling, you know, a biological man who is transgendered a woman, or a biological woman who is transgendered into a man as a
Just
man.
transgender, not transgendered. Just transgender.
Or transition is what I mean. Transition into that. So, yeah, no, I mean, good question, right? Because I mean, you know, I remember years ago the bathroom situation was a big deal.
It's still a big deal.
Well, and you know, honestly, I mean, that was a time, you know, when that happened, when I was still a Jehovah's Witness and even more conservative than I am now, very traditional, and I didn't know how I felt about it either. You know, to be honest, I did not feel good about it. It was new. We're still trying to figure out what we're doing, you know, with this whole situation. I think even on both sides. So, yeah. Oh.
Okay, I really gotta touch on the bathroom thing. So very, very recently, okay, so transvestigation, where people are basically trying to see like, oh, like they're secretly trans, or like they're doing it with like mostly celebrities, but also like just random people, right? There was a cisgender heterosexual woman, meaning cisgender. It's not, cis isn't a slur, it's not abbreviation, it's a Latin prefix that simply means the gender that you are assigned at birth. It literally just means not trans. It's not an insult, it just means that you're not trans. But anyway, there was a cis woman who went to the bathroom. She's taller than, you know, like relatively like tall woman. Some random man transvestigated her and was trying to get into the bathroom, basically like you could hear, like she could hear when she was in the bathroom, you know, that he was like trying to get in and be like, oh, we gotta protect our children, blah, 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 right? She didn't report it to her like management at Walmart right away.
Okay.
Because she was just like, you know, like once the dude left, like she just wanted to, you know, get on with her day and things like that. Because she didn't report this encounter right away, she wound up getting fired.
Fired?
From Walmart.
For what?
Exactly. Bullshit. She was the one who was transvestigated and nearly like assaulted by this random man who assumed that she was trans because she was just tall. Not only that, but even recently, there was a lesbian couple. One of them was like more masculine presenting, you know, or would be considered butch. We're just having like a total like Pride Month, just educational session here. Yeah, so a lesbian couple, right? They went to a hotel and some woman basically transvestigated the butch one, and they got kicked out of the bathroom. And the hotel didn't really do anything about it. They like apologized, but they didn't do shit. So yeah, transphobia affects everyone, mainly women. So just let people piss, man. Let people piss. It has nothing to do with you. Just let people piss.
That's a very interesting perspective. If we get any more time, I'm gonna get to the comments here for our viewers. But yeah, I might actually want to know a little bit more about that because, yeah, kind of curious. Okay, so in the comments, that's cool, thank you. I'm straight too. And Michael Barclay said even more views about the JW stuff than the 89 Maxima. It was actually an 87, totally different body style. But yes, even more views than that. Yeah, which the maximum view, what, I think got like 20,000 views, 17,000. So, yeah. So let's see here. I work at a car wash and we have a food truck there. And one day I saw a family going there to eat. The dad had his daughter with a leash and collar on her, and she had a tail. She was barking. He also said, I just can't believe I saw a father walking his little daughter with a leash and collar around her neck, and she has a tail, barking like a dog and sitting like a dog. Out here in the sticks of Pennsylvania, it's a bit more uncommon, at least I think. Okay, that was John.
That was my friend group growing up.
What,
We all turned
Pennsylvania?
out fine. No, not the Pennsylvania thing. Like I had friends who would like walk around with like ears and tails and stuff. They turned out fine. They're productive members of society. Like there's this whole joke about like trans cat girls basically, basically like running the world because of like many of them just wind up working in IT. But those are two completely different things. You don't necessarily have to be a cat girl to be trans. Basically, kids like to wear ears and tails and stuff. They like to play pretend. I loved me some, like, we were just talking about Lion King 2 the other day. I love me some Cobra. Listen, I was, like, that was my husband. But I'm a mostly well-adjusted adult who doesn't wear cat ears. Let the children pretend to be animals. Let them pretend to be animals. They're just chilling. As long as they're not like chasing stuff into the street to get hit like a regular dog and turn into roadkill, let the children wear the ears and the leashes and tail and sit like a dog. As long as you don't have to pick up their shit, it's fine.
See, I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't know. I'm kind of with you, Mike. I think I would be alarmed and maybe even a little bit concerned about someone's parenting if they had their kid on a leash in public.
It passes. It passes. They grow out of it. It passes. I promise you. For the most part, it passes. Speaking from experience. I mean, I was not a leash and shit, but like speaking from like just knowing people like this, it passes mostly.
Okay. Well, there you have it. I don't know. I think I would be very alarmed if I saw that, though.
Let kids be weird. Let kids be weird.
I would be like, this kid needs to know that it's okay to be a human before they completely lose themselves and get detached from reality. But that's just me. Yeah. So, oh yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate that. Yeah, she's cool. If you're ever in Tampa, be sure to get a reading. She may go online one day too and do it online, which I think would be a great idea. But that's up to her whenever she's ready. So yes, out here in the sticks of Pennsylvania, it's a bit more uncommon. Yeah, it can be, and for many reasons. I mean, and I hate to kind of lean in this direction, but facts are facts. In places in the rural areas where people are more conservative and still glued to their traditional religious roots, as a transgender person, your life can be in danger. That is a reality of somebody that is transgender, unfortunately, is that if you are living in a small town, say somewhere in the Bible Belt, somewhere like that, or Texas, there is a chance that you, as a transgender individual, your life could be in danger. And that's not an exaggeration. That's not an exaggeration at all. You could be killed. And so that's some of the stuff that I feel like in society we could graduate from, honestly. I think that some of us as religious people can feel like we must enforce what we believe to show our support of it, for fear that we are not being loyal to our belief. But sometimes the truth is that we are being loyal even if we're not aggressively going out there to enforce it And this is something that I had to learn as I broke from the shackles of religion. Something to think about. Something to think about. Because whether you agree with, somebody who's transgender or not, or cisgender or anything, you'd be amazed at how many people you could find out that you might like just by getting to know them, aside from all the biases. So definitely something to think about. So you were saying something earlier. Oh yeah, I wanted to know, but so we got about 10 minutes left. And I'm kind of curious about a point that she made earlier. She says that transphobia hurts mainly women. I think is that what she said? I don't want to misquote you.
Yeah, transphobia harms everyone, but it definitely affects all women, not just trans women, and even trans men too, because there are they're now posting up security guards in some bathrooms where they want people. There are certain states and regions where they want people to use the bathrooms for the gender they're assigned at birth, right? Or like the gender that the gender they're assigned at birth. So you have like a trans man, right? Who's like taking all the hormones, got their boobies, all like cut up and stuff like that. Maybe even gotten, everything done, right? And they're looking like a sexy, brolic ass man, and you want them to pull up in the women's restroom because it's how they were born? Oh baby, and then on top of that, you can have cis men pretending to be trans men trying to assault women, because they're just like, oh, we're trying to protect the children, we're trying to protect the women, we can't have men pretending to be women going into the bathrooms to assault like cis women and children. That's the whole argument. But they always forget trans men exist. Trans men exist. So they're like people who are born as women who transition and present very well as men, as manly men with like basically could look like this kid. Hot as fuck. But
She's so sweet.
yes, I am. I am very sweet. I don't have to do love spells about it, but they help. But anyway, yeah, so no, like transphobia affects us all. It's putting people in real danger for no reason and not the people that they claim that they're trying to protect. People are becoming victims of violence because of people claiming, like, just like even lay people. It's not even just security guards and cops. It's like lay people trying to police people and get people to like lift up their shirts or like, show what's in their pants. Like, just transvestigation. Transphobia and transvestigation is causing real harm and real danger.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Also, one last thing. Because we have like 7 minutes. So, again, Pride Month. The first Pride was a riot, okay? A lot of people, like trans folk, everyone in the rainbow umbrella is dealing with some real shit right now. The dude who voiced John Redcorn, he was the victim of a hate crime. He was killed because he was gay. While checking the mail of his house that was burned down, that was threatened several times to be burned down because he was in a gay marriage, he's dead. He's dead. He was killed as a race and sexuality based hate crime. They even had his dog's skull and the harness, so they knew it was his dog, in the mailbox when they were collecting the mail for their house that was burned down. They were wailing and crying and moaning and mourning. And one of their neighbors took it upon himself to shoot the actor who played John Redcorn. Don't support King of the Hill. Support the gays, especially the ones who are still here.
I heard about that, but I don't know a lot about it. But I mean, if that really is the case,
It's
that's
documented.
very sad. Oh, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying I don't like to assume things I don't know. But if that did play out like that, which I have not read anything about yet, that's horrible, honestly. really bad. So, okay. Well, interesting. I was going to say something else, but I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, no, I was just thinking about a time. So, I want to say a year or two ago, I was working with somebody who happened to be a transgender man, trans man. You reminded me of it when you said something about it. I was like, oh, yeah, I did work with one. And, you know, honestly, I gotta be honest, I did not like how they treated them simply for being, you know, a trans person. And that did make me very upset. And I remember, you know, this trans person who was being victimized at my job after they outed them, which to me was very, you're right, I feel, that's how I feel too. I feel like I feel like people should be outed when they're ready to out themselves. I don't like the antagonistic, you know, group gang mentality on them either. I don't like that. And I don't support that, even regardless of how I feel. I think I just feel like it's very mean. I feel like it's ruthless. I feel like it's needless victimization. But this is how they treated this person, unfortunately, and the truth is that it was recent. It was recent. It's within the last 2 years. And this person walked up to me after they had been outed and came up to me in the office because I was actually their boss at the time and just asked me, how do you feel about transgenders? And I told them, I said, you know, honestly, if we're talking about it from, you know, a professional standpoint, that to me has nothing to do with you being a good person and coming here and showing up on time every day and doing your job. I said that has nothing to do with that, and it should never have anything to do with that. I'm going to evaluate you based on how you're performing at the job. And, you know, and then I said it on a personal note, I don't have a problem. I treat anybody who treats me good, good. And period, that's it. I feel like that's the way it should be. You know, fair is fair, and that's what fairness is, and that's what it should be, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, it just reminded me of that. Even recently. I mean, it was a real shame that they were being treated so poorly. You know, to the point where I felt like I really had to protect them.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. But you know, it shouldn't be that way. Is what I mean by that. You know, it shouldn't have to be that way. So I think that's definitely something to think about.
But if you can, while you can, when you can, protect trans people, please.
Okay. Wow. Well, we've got a couple minutes left. I don't know if anybody has any statements or questions. So I will wait a minute and then we'll be signing off. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank everyone for the comments, for the questions. It was awesome. It's a good lively discussion here at the end. Last hour was a lot better than the first hour, which was kind of slow.
But definitely make sure to check out the replay for tuning in towards the end of it. Like, definitely watch from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of good info. So, yeah. So I'm going to wait here another minute. If anybody has something to say, we can talk about it. If not, we will be signing off for the evening.
Trans rights are great. Gender roles are bullshit. Do curses. but make sure that you divine on whether or not they're justified, but definitely curse and hex people who deserve it.
See, I'm with everything except for the gender roles thing. I like the gender roles thing for the most part.
Okay. Well,
But to each his own.
sure. Well, anyway, good night, y'all. Happy Pride to whom it may concern.
All right, guys. Have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in.
And now to shut this damn thing off again.
Dude, click the X. Right there.
Ow. I know that. I know what I'm doing.
All right.
I think.
Get it together, old man.
Whatever. Hey. Whatever.
You're showing your age with that whatever.